culprit removed some evidence?
Yes, and if I were the culprit, why would I need to get rid of all the hair in my own room?
Exactly, this is not logical. If it was his room.
It wouldn't be unusual at all to find my hair at the crime scene if the crime scene is in my room.
The reason all the hair was gone was to remove any trace that Sayaka had ever been there. That makes sense, does it not?
No. If that were the case, they would have had to do something about the body itself, not just her hair.
Ha ha ha! Yes, very true, very true!
Okay, then why wasn't there any hair on the ground?
The killer got rid of it all, of course, to remove any trace that they had ever been there.
Wait, then that means...
Precisely. It's simply beyond reason to believe that the room's owner and the killer are one and the same.
Then Makoto isn't the culprit?
Are you sure we can decide something so important based solely on the absence of some hair?
No. There are other reasons that prove why Makoto couldn't have done it.
I would like to hear these reasons.
Do you remember anything remarkable about the bathroom at the scene?
Oh yes, I do.
Sayaka was attacked in the main room first, then fled into the bathroom, right?
Yeah, then they ran after her, got into the bathroom, and stabbed her.
And how did the killer get into the bathroom? Did they have any trouble with it?
What do you mean?
It's fairly certain that the killer had some trouble getting into the bathroom. There was clear evidence left behind. Do you remember, Makoto?
Yes, I do. The killer struggled to get into the bedroom, and the evidence that prove it is the object the killer broke. Where is he? Here.
I got it! Evidence that the killer had trouble getting into the bathroom. You're talking about the doorknob, right?
Huh? The doorknob? What doorknob?
The doorknob for my bathroom. It was completely broken. See how the top part was unscrewed? And the doorknob's about ready to fall off?
Oh yeah, true. But what does it mean?
In trying to bypass the lock, they ended up nearly removing the entire doorknob. This is another most bewildering act for the room's owner. It proves Makoto is beyond suspicion.
So what? You're saying he wouldn't break the door in his own room? But if the only choice you have is to break it, you break it. There's nothing bewildering about it.
You still don't see? Okay then. Let's take another look at how the incident unfolded. Hopefully that will help you understand.
People said it was a bit bewildering act. And most didn't notice at first, but is that the key point there? Yep. There's a bit more to learn about the non-stop debate. Interested? Yes. From here on out, the number of weak spots will start going up. But no matter how many weak spots, there is only one lie or contradiction. What I'm trying to say is not all weak spots you see are necessarily false. Use the bullet on the wrong one, and not only will you fail to refuse them. Influence grade will take damage. Alright. Now this is important because if your influence goes to 0, you failed. Really on logic, to determine which weak spots are actually lies or contradictions. Well then, good luck and have fun!
The incident took place in Makoto's room. Sayaka was first attacked in the main room.
Okay, this is
She
correct.
then fled into the bathroom.
Then the killer ran after her. and they got into the bathroom.
At that point, the killer had to try and bust down the door. Because Sayaka had locked it.
Oh, I see
And
it.
finally, the culprit had Sayaka cornered.
And to finish the job, they stabbed her with the kitchen knife.
It was you, wasn't it, Makoto? Admit it. We already know the answer.
It's not because the door was unlocked. No, there is a different reason entirely.
The incident took place in
Makoto's Sayaka was first attacked. She then fled into.
Then the killer ran after, and they got into the bathroom.
At that point, the killer had to try and bust down the door. Because Sayaka had locked it.
Nope.
No, that's wrong. The reason my bathroom didn't open wasn't because it was locked. After all, the girls' rooms are the only ones with locking bathrooms, right?
Yes. Yes, now that you mention it, that is true.
Then why didn't your bathroom door open?
Because it was stuck.
Huh? What are you talking about?
My bathroom door doesn't fit in the frame quite right. Monokuma over there can testify to that.
Yup, true as true can be. But you know, you're supposed to be the ultimate lucky student, right? But to have such a cruddy door... That's not lucky at all!
So the reason the door didn't open was just because it was stuck. But the killer didn't know that and assumed it was locked. So they tore apart the doorknob to get in.
Okay, but then why would the killer even think the door was locked in the first place?
I know why.
Everyone should have known you can't lock any of the boys' bathrooms.
The killer could easily make that mistake, thanks to one important detail about the scene of the crime.
Yep. The killer was convinced that the battle door was locked, so they didn't know that the door actually couldn't be locked. In other words, the important detail about the scene of the crime that they didn't know was...
I got it! The killer must not have realized that it was my room.
What? Are you saying the culprit didn't even know where he was? That's inconceivable!
And yet, he's absolutely right.
Yep.
Say what?
Say what?
Well, to be more specific, what the killer didn't know was that Makoto and Sayaka had switched rooms, which is what led to the misunderstanding about the bathroom. If Sayaka had been in her own room, then
Then there would have been a lock on the door, and they would have had to break through!
Yep.
So they had no idea how unnecessary their actions were.
ultimately, we can't know if it came open by force or simply by accident. But the killer must have been considerably confused, with no idea how they actually got the door opened.
Regardless, it was a pointless act. Wasting time trying to break down a door that wasn't locked is...
definitely something I wouldn't do, since I would have known exactly why it wasn't opening, right?
That is a definite possibility.
Why are you so disappointed about that? Makoto is innocent, Byakuya? Hmm?
So the killer would have to be someone who didn't know they'd switched rooms?
Then Makoto couldn't have done it.
Nope. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Okay, then who did do it?
I'm sorry, but I give up! Quit without saving!
But what happens if we can't decide on who we think did it?
Well then, why don't we just vote right now? Majority rules!
No, this is not a good idea, Taka.
Majority rules? Do you really think that's a good idea?
In fact.
Yeah, our necks are on the line here. Someone seriously needs to do something. For serious.
Does no one have any other thoughts or questions? It does not matter how trivial they may seem.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I do have one question.
Oh, you...
Shut up, witch.
You don't gotta sound so disappointed.
It's fine, it's fine. Just ask your question.
Oh yeah. Okay, so, well, I was just wondering, how did the culprit get into Makoto's room in the first place?
Yes. How did the killer get inside?
Maybe Sayaka just dropped the key somewhere and the culprit picked it up. That's possible, right?
No, it's not that possible.
I don't think so. That seems way too convenient.
Yep, you're right, Taka.
Then, maybe someone picked the lock?
Negative! If you remember, Monokuma made it quite clear that the locks are all unpickable.
Fine. How about this? The killer got in the easy way.
And that is?
They could have knocked and said they wanted to talk or something, and Miss Maizono just let him in.
It sounds possible, Ifumi, but I don't think so.
No, that can't be it either.
Oh, trying to argue against me? Sounds like someone doesn't know his place. Hello? Why exactly can't that be it?
Because she asked me to do something in particular because of how friendly she was. That's the answer right here. There's no way Sayaka let someone in because...
I got it! Because Sayaka was already scared, remember? That's why she asked me to switch rooms in the first place.
The same goes for you, Sayaka. No matter who it is, don't open your door for anyone. Even when sure it's you, I absolutely won't open it. Also, otherwise, what's the point of even switching?
Knowing what she'd been through, I just can't believe she would have opened the door for anyone.
What if her being scared was a lie?
Huh? What the hell is that supposed to mean? Why would she lie about something like that?
I know you don't want to consider it, but look at this and tell me. Can you still deny the possibility?
There is something I want to talk to you about. Just to us two. In 5 minutes, come to see in my room. Check the nameplate to make sure you don't get wrong room, okay?
I found a notepad during my search, and I shaded in the top sheet with a pencil. And these are the words that appeared.
Oh man! I've totally seen people do that on detective shows. When you write, it can leave an imprint. Sketch over the next sheet of paper, and you can see the words. When I saw that, I was like, holy crap! I better make sure I rip the paper out before I use it from now on.
It's a pretty old-fashioned technique, but even the classics can be surprisingly useful sometimes. Oh, and I should also mention, I found the notepad on the desk in Makoto's room.
Huh?
Which means only someone who had been in Makoto's room before the incident could have written it.
Then either it was Makoto who lived there, or Sayaka who switched rooms for a single night.
So, Makoto, did you write this?
No, I didn't. But
Of course you didn't, because the note also bears a perfectly legible signature. Sayaka's signature.
Then, the note. Sayaka wrote it?
But why? Why would she write that?
The note was likely her way of getting in touch with a certain someone. She must have slid it under their door to let them know she wanted to meet with them in secret.
If you got an invitation like that from the ultimate pop sensation, what young man could resist?
Of course, I'm only into 2D, so it wouldn't have any effect on me.
Sure, Fumi, sure.
But can we be sure anyone even got this note? And honestly, even if they did, I do not think they are at all involved in what happened.
Huh? What makes you say that?
Would you like to hear what I have to say? Very well then, pay attention. Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct? But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
I see. So if someone read that note, then they would have gone to Sayaka's room.
Exactly. The room that Makoto was staying in. So in other words, even if someone did read the note and did what it said, they would not have any connection to what happened.
It certainly would seem that way.
Alright, I see what I have to do here, but I don't remember what spot I have to touch first. The killer went to my room instead of Sayaka's, and the reason for that is... it has to be because of that... of what was switched between mine and Sayaka's rooms.
Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct? But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
Alright, no, I messed up. You mentioned words trying me. Please stop wasting my time. Shoot. I had to consider it for you one more time. There must be a condition in there somewhere.
Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct?
Oh, I thought this must be the other statement.
They were asked to come to, it specifically says,
I see. So then they would have gone to...
Exactly. The room that...
No, that's wrong. The nameplates on Mai and Sayaka's rooms got switched.
They got switched?
That's right. The nameplates got switched, just like the rooms themselves. As a result, the nameplate on Sayaka's room actually had Makoto's name. And the nameplate on Makoto's room had Sayaka's.
So what you're saying is, the room Sayaka was staying in was actually marked as her room.
Then, if someone did do what the note said, they would end up at Makoto's room where Sayaka was.
Plus, their rooms are right next to each other, so switching the nameplates would be no problem. And the one who switched the names was... well, of course it wasn't you, right, Makoto?
Right?
Okay, then who did it?
The person who could have switched the nameplates. The only other person who knew we had switched rooms. Sayaka herself.
I got it! Me and Sayaka were the only ones who ever knew about us switching rooms. So the only other person besides me who would even know to switch the nameplates was Sayaka.
You can also infer as much from her note.
There's only one I want to talk to you about, just us two. In 5 minutes, come see my room. Check the imprint to make sure you don't get to the wrong room, okay?
She specifically tells the reader to check the nameplate. She would only have written that if she knew the nameplates had been switched.
But why would she switch them in the first place?
She wanted someone to come to the room she was in, and also hide the fact that it was Makoto's room.
What?
Inviting someone to your room, but not telling them you'd switched rooms. Why would anyone do that?
To understand that, we first need to understand what happened after she invited the person into the room. That's where the answer lies.
What happened then was probably whoever she invited over came in and attacked her. We figured it out! We know who did it! Whoever she invited over is the culprit!
But we still don't know who it is, you goddamn idiot!
But I remember it very much, all the couple, I don't know. Maybe that's why I ship this too.
Sayaka fought with her killer there in the room, yes? Perhaps the answer to our previous question lies in that initial struggle.
Yes, I think you're right.
Then... we just have to figure out what happened during the fight, right?
That reminds me. There was a replica sword at the murder scene. Was that perhaps used during the fight?
Oh yeah. What's the deal with that sword?
Sayaka suggested I should hold on to it. I thought it might come in handy if I had to defend myself. It seems pretty likely that the killer used it to break Sayaka's right wrist.
How the hell could you possibly know that's what broke her wrist?
The reason I know Sayaka's wrist was broken with the fake sword is because when you look at her first, there's no doubt.
I got it! All you have to do is take a good look at her broken wrist, and it should become pretty clear. Right there where her wrist is all swollen, there's something glittery there. See?
Is that gold?
It sure is. Specifically, the gold coating from the replica sword. You barely have to touch that stuff, and it'll stick right to you. And there's some on her wrist because...
I got it! Because she got hit with the sword! Right there on her wrist!
I see. And so the truth draws ever closer.
All right, then it's about time to solve this mystery.
What happened in my room? And what led to Sayaka's death? That's what we need to make clear. There's been more to learn about the debate interest. Eugenia used to this not stop debate. Same with the next debate, I started loading multiple true bullets. But just like with the weak spot, only one of these bullets work. In other words, from here on out, you have to combine the right true bullets with the right weak spots. If you come out with the wrong combination, you will take influence glass damage. Tap the clear to click the sword and each other bullet. Tap and hold the trigger to select the bullet to load. By the way, if the logic difficulty is a kind where the bullet will be loaded. For a process this time, the logic difficulty will be set to main. Well done, good luck and have fun! Alright.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack!
And that's what broke Miss Mizono's wrist.
So she tried to fight back. She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away.
But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
And that's exactly what happened.
The person with the sword really did attack first. There's no explanation for how a certain part of the sword got damaged.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack!
No, that's wrong. Actually, no. I don't think the fight started with the sword.
Why not?
Because the sword's sheath had been scratched. See? There's a gash in it. Like someone cut into it with something sharp.
Something sharp? You mean like the kitchen knife? That was the only sharp thing found at the scene.